ahead and start. So yeah, I think there we go. We're live streaming. Beautiful. So welcome to today's webinar. So I am the CCO and co-founder of Storytell. My name is Erica Anderson, and so excited to go into this path of understanding how to use AI via prompting, something called few shot learning. It sounds very complicated. It's not. And yet it's going to unlock your ability to quickly respond to grant proposals, which can take a really long time. What we're hearing is often takes people about a month to complete them. So would love to know where you're joining from. What's up, Philippines? Great to represent here. And every week we're doing a webinar on a different use case. So if there's something else, like what is it that you want to explore with AI or you think is not possible with AI? Let's go down that path. Okay, so I just want to tell you a little bit about Storytell. And what is it, for instance? Let's start there. So it's a B2B AI platform. And the whole purpose is sense making, to make sense of your world. So what do I mean by your world? That sounds kind of vague. Structured and unstructured data. So structured data like some Excel spreadsheets, etc. Unstructured data, Zoom calls, transcripts, notes, Slack messages. So we have all of this data around us. And it's like, what do we do? And so you can use Storytell to get insights that you can take action on. And that's pretty major because until this recent wave of AI, most of that unstructured data was essentially worthless. It's like you can think of it as like flecks of gold, all these like valuable learnings, because where do we spend our days now? Largely in Zoom calls. And when you're on calls with customers, doing sales calls, etc., helping users figure out how to use your product, that isn't just happening between the people on the call. People in your company need to understand what happened. And until now, it's just been almost impossible to extract that value from the unstructured data. And so it's been rendered worthless. And using Storytell, you can get the value out of it, right? So what makes Storytell different? What are some benefits of our product here? So one is that you can dynamically size your data set. What does that mean? You get to choose. You are sitting at the controls of exactly what you're interacting with. Because think of this versus ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, you're talking to, the world's knowledge, everything that the model has been trained on. And so that's all of Wikipedia, a lot of the internet. You don't know exactly what it's been trained on. And so it can be accurate, cannot. And with Storytell, you get to say, hey, I want to talk to all these files. I want to understand all the grants that I've ever written, etc. What are the themes? Show me the patterns. Produce X from Y. So we'll be doing that today. If that doesn't make sense, don't worry, we're coming back to it. Trusting the results. So with Storytell, this whole, issue of how did the AI come up with the answer? We're like, we are going to solve that. That's, just having that as a question, is this accurate or not? Is this true or not? That was not good enough for us. So we created an algorithm in order to have these footnotes that takes you right back to the source. So you can always get an answer to that. Okay, de-siloing knowledge. So as organizations grow, I think we all know that people and data, it all gets siloed. You're over there, you know your truth, I know my truth, but there's no one source of truth. So part of the ethos of Storytell is to align organizations at the level of data. And so we have an organizational view where anything that you make accessible to your org, because it pertains to your organization, everyone else in your company can also interact with. And that's, you choose the access control. So we'll look at that as well. And yes, let us know what you would like to learn today. I won't vote in that one. And let's see. Oh, San Francisco, Charlie. Awesome. So happy you're here. That's great. Okay. So, one other thing here, and I'll just move my face so we can see what's going on. So this is our last slide. We're not too slide heavy in these webinars because we just want to dive in and learn together. So, how do we treat data and how do we organize it within Storytell? Well, if you're uploading a file, for instance, today we have this workspace, and we're going to be using the smart chats we've created and prompts in there. Let's say we uploaded that to a smart chat. And if you're like, what is she talking about? We're going to see it in a moment. Think of a file folder. It's kind of similar to that. Tags are like folders. It's just a way of naming and organizing your information. And then two different tags could fall, like think of a Venn diagram. This is like a squished Venn diagram. But so both this Kurzweil tag and the community empowerment tag, as you're going to see in our webinar, are grant applications. And so we're putting those into one group so you can gather information together. Okay, that is our starting point, and I'm going to step out of the slideshow so I can show you what we're going to do together. And Charlie, would just love to hear from you as well. I think we can take you off mute if you want to just jump in and share. Oh, great. How do you tag a file that you've uploaded after you uploaded it? Awesome question. So this is exactly what I wanted to know. Charlie, what do you want to learn? Because we can, focus the whole journey in your direction. So why don't I will show you how I've uploaded something and how I've tagged it after uploading. And I think just to orient us in general, because some folks, you might be just brand new to Storytell. Right now, we are in the Smart Chat tab here, right? So we can chat. We've got a prompt library. So there's different, let's say that there's a meeting that you want the action items from. Well, there's a meeting summary prompt. This happens to not be about a meeting, these grant applications, so I'm not going to ask it here, but you can see all these questions, you can add your own questions, and then you see there's the tags and groups that I just spoke to. Well, one way to understand them, you'll see them again here, is going to what we call the content manager. And so we've got the groups and tags, and you'll see that we're chatting with uploaded knowledge as opposed to the world's knowledge. And then we're looking at the knowledge that we've uploaded here. And if you want to view it, so it's almost like your Google Drive, right? You want to look at what's in it. Here we go. So this has been uploaded. The access is only my org. Now, this happens to be public content if it's from LinkedIn. So I could just do anyone with a link. And if for some reason I'm like, no, that's just for me, then I can change those access levels. And then view the source content. So you can go back and what were we looking at? So the Storytell LinkedIn page. And then I'll upload something else, Charlie, but this, and I know it's a little bit hidden, but when you open a file, there is add tags right here. So you'd go ahead and add a tag, and we could say like LinkedIn admin view. And then click done. And now that is a tag that we could chat with. So let me know if that answers your question. And if not, happy to go deeper in that. How do you change the tag? Right. Okay, great follow-up question. Right now, the best way is just to delete the tag. So let's say, no, I don't really think that was the right tag. Maybe I meant to say Storytell LinkedIn. So it's just a delete and recreate is where we're at right now, but totally hear you. Yes, you should be able to change the tags, edit the tags. so that you don't have to do it that way. Great. And awesome. Thank you, Pat. Okay, so information coming at you. Okay, so what are we? And then here I talked about org view. Now this is a persona that we've created that's, writing grants. So it's, for instance, if this were my Storytell account with my Storytell email address, I'd be able to click on this and go and look at everything in my organization. But we are in this fictional persona account to look at grant applications. So let's do that. So I'm going to go back to Smart Chat. And then you can see there's like quite a few different tags here. And I am going to start with this one. And we also, I don't know if we've shared this in the chat already, but let's go ahead and do so if not. So this is our workspace. These are some resources, some of the prompts that we're using. And I think what could be really instructive here is like, why is this a good prompt? And these are essentially, it's called few shot learning. If that doesn't mean anything to you, that's fine. It's just something that, AI, ML folks talk about. That's their language. But okay, let's walk through this scenario. So just like backing up from all the jargon. So let's say that you're applying for a grant from this organization. So Nora Roberts. And so, okay, you would be checking eligibility and then application form and go through and like, oh, what are the application guidelines? What is it that I need to do here? So we can treat this as an RFP, right? And so what are you going to do with that information? Well, who are you? And so in this case, we're saying this is, let's say this is the grant proposal. As you can see, it's a sample, right? But this is an awesome opportunity to learn. And if we wanted to upload this, there's a couple different ways we could do that. So one, we can open the Chrome extension. So Storytell has a Chrome extension, and when you open it, it will ingest whatever it's on. So this is going to go into this is linked to my Storytell account, so it's not going to go into the view we're in right now, but you can always use our Chrome extension on online documents, web pages, etc., to get it into Smart Chat. So that's one path. Another path is I'm just going to copy the link here. And oh yeah, and you'll see that it's going to summarize and put the main key concepts, and we have story tiles here too. Story tiles is how we refer to the footnotes. Okay, so right, I was going to show you how to upload, and I'm just going to do that. There's a couple different ways, but you'll see there's this floating tray, and this was from the web. So I will just drop that in and hit enter. And then if I wanted to add a tag, I mean, it's something we already have, so I'll just put that. And I could add more tags. If I had multiple documents, I could go here and just add one tag to all the documents, etc. And yep, access control, this is from the web. I don't need to restrict access, so we're good as is. Okay, so you'll see that's in here. And if we wanted to view it and check, like, does that have, yeah, Kurzweil too. Okay, great. So just gonna see, can you ask a question of the uploaded Smart Chat data with a custom prompt? Yes, you can. Great question and great timing, because that is exactly what we're going to do now. So I'm gonna go back to Smart Chat and go to the Kurzweil grant app. I've been playing around with this, as you can see. And now I'm going to go to our workspace, and I'm going to close the Chrome extension. Okay, so let's say that I am, Kurzweil Educational Systems, and I want to apply to this Nora Roberts Foundation for Literacy grant. And So what I've done, I've made this specific to Kurzweil. I'm just going to walk through what this is. Um, and then we've got a Mad Libs version, and that's basically how to think of prompts. It's for those of us who are familiar with Mad Libs, it's like put in the noun, put in the adjective, so there's already a story being created, and then you're just inserting the things that are specific to your situation. So what am I doing here? I'm describing what we're looking at. And by attached content, I mean what is in the tag. Okay, so this is what's here. Okay, what is Read to Succeed? Okay, it's to improve literacy for middle school students. Okay, what are we going to do with this? Oh, we're going to use it to respond to a request for a proposal from Nora Foundation for Literacy. Okay, when you do that, this is how I want, like the kind of response I want. Write detailed paragraphs for each of these questions. And here are the questions. Right? So this is all specific to these two things. You're like, wait, how does that relate to me? Well, go ahead and use the Mad Libs version, right? You're just going to have to fill each of these out. So I'm going to copy that and go back to this. And okay, so this is our tag, right? And we're putting in a custom prompt. And so this hopefully is going to answer your question, Charlie. But if it doesn't, please let me know. So we're starting to see what's happening here. Great. We've got a whole response. And what do we have here? These are the footnotes. So those open. I'm just going to move us over here into a third panel. You can say, where did this come from? What is the source? And so let's inspect this together. So what's the purpose? The purpose is to improve literacy among middle school students. Okay. And then you can always check back as well if you want to actually look at the document. But you can also do it with our footnotes. Right? So there's Kurzweil software, etc. So it's going to help here. And then, okay, second question, how does it uniquely and directly benefit Nora Roberts Foundation's focus areas, literacy, children, and arts? Okay, great. Literacy, empowering overcoming reading challenges, brighter future, arts are integrated as they're exposed to all sorts of literary works. Okay, great. And then our last question, what would a donation from Nora Roberts Foundation to Read to Succeed be used for, right? How are you going to use my money? And let's see. So we've got various aspects. I'm guessing we would want to know something more specific as opposed to various aspects, like, no, it's for something super specific. And this is what's happening with the responses. Does this mean like, oh, the AI is bad, the AI doesn't work? Usually it means you need to update your question, and maybe you need to update the information that you've uploaded. So I'm just going to check in here with chat and see how we're doing with questions. Yes. Okay, great to hear that you're liking the footnotes, Charlie. So yes, you could ask the same question you could just do it with all my knowledge, right? And then that's everything that you've uploaded. Now, I know you said relevant, so it could be that it's really more of a group. Like, what are the similarities here? So actually, let's just go ahead and do that. So I've got two different grant applications here. And Charlie, what's a question that you'd want to ask of all your info? Oh, and this one thing to know, you go to all my knowledge to like clear out what's here on the top, and then you can go and choose a group or a tag, etc. I'm going to take a water break. Okay, so grant applications. So let's see. Describe the similarities and differences between the two grant applications attached. And yes, I'm like misspelling things, but it will take care of it. In a table with a third column showing examples. Okay, so let's see how that does. So, okay, looks like I confused it. So the attached content is a grant application from Kurzweil and a grant application. So if you don't get what you want, try again. It's not a door slamming in your face. It's just saying, ask a new question. I don't know what that is, but we'll figure it out. Okay. And a grant application from community empowerment. I'd like to know what's similar and what's different about these grant applications and examples supporting your case. Okay, create a table with a column for similarity, difference, and example. Let's see how that does. Okay, so it's very sorry. We are not quite getting there, so I'm going to say, ask again, don't give up. You know, what's the user error? What could I be doing differently? Okay. So we've got a very apologetic AI today, and yet here we are, right? You have to persevere just like anything in life. So what, without access to content. Okay, so I'm not sure. Looks like we've got a little error going on in this case, but generally, so somehow it's not able to access the information that uploaded. So we're gonna go back to Kurzweil. Oh, right. Need to refresh here. Back to Kurzweil because I want to show a few other things. I'm just going to check in here. Yeah, what are the 5 most important questions in the grant applications? I love that. Right. Well, here's the thing. The grant, let's see what we can do. I am going to look at, I think we have some RFPs. Here, I'm just going to copy this. Okay. So there's some other RFPs we have here that we've uploaded. And so and in terms of what are we clicking on? What are we looking at? So we just go here. Okay. So there's one in this case. And if we wanted to view it, we would just go into it. So let's see if we have, okay, Nora Roberts info as well. And AI project, I think that's also, I've looked at all 3 of these. So okay, chat with this tag. So these different grant applications, and I'm going to add Nora Roberts, the one we just looked at, and this here as well. Okay, and so now we can ask this question. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Charlie. That's obviously the question that I should have asked to start with, because we're getting something that's really useful. All right, what's the organization's purpose? How do they directly benefit focus areas, right? We've seen that before. That was from Nora Roberts. We saw that one too. Donation, what are you using the money for? And who's the target audience? How will the success be evaluated? Right. And so that's even oh, right, a grant is really gonna largely have, I mean, it's not gonna be that because they'll change based on the funder, but these are probably the main questions you're going to be asking again and again. Awesome. Yay. That's great. So happy to hear that. Yeah, Charlie, totally is your audio working? Were we able to unmute you?
Yeah, yeah. If you can hear me, it's
Yes.
it works.
Yes.
Well, that was a nice answer, and I was just about to type in there, as the next question, the follow-up question, based upon the information you have reviewed from the other, I guess we're calling them not proposals, but based upon the information you've reviewed from other grant applications, please answer these top 5 questions
Mm.
and see what it comes up with. That's, if it has some examples to pull from, I've usually seen these, they'll do a decent job.
Right. So oh, and by the way, here's one way you can just go ahead and copy these questions. So that's a great question. And it's all going to depend on what the information is. So for instance, the grant, this is like the applications themselves. And I'll have to go back to, I'm going to clear out the tags here and go to, let's see, Kurzweil. Or we could look at this one, or we could just try both of them. And let's see. Okay. So these are 2 different like sample applications. And let's see what happens here. Okay. And this is from, 2 different applications, 2 different programs, but fairly similar. Okay. So we've got the purpose. We've got the project about, organizing art workshops, etc. So again, it's within like literacy for kids, looking at education, purchase of books, educational resources, organization of art workshops. All right. And then we've got exactly who it's targeting, children, young adults from underserved communities, and then how the success of the program will be evaluated. So curious, just to get your thoughts, Charlie, on how these, like what goes through your head as you see these responses.
I think that AI is a starting point. It's never a final, you've got a bow around it. It gives you, it allows you to go further than you would have gotten in the 5 minutes that you spent doing this. But everything needs to be reviewed, is my kind of lesson learned over time, is that, you can't just because a model spit it out, that assume it's correct. So to me, it's a starting point, and I think that the models do well with synthesizing information. So you've had a pull from Kurzweil, and then in community empowerment groups. So that's a start. It's and then you'll have to kind of put the final magic on it yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think as depending on the tool and the prompts, it can help determine exactly how far you get. So does it get you 10% of the way there? Does it get you 90% of the way there? And so part of the purpose of these webinars is to show ways of prompting, of interacting with Storytell to get you farther. So for instance, maybe that's a good jumping off point to just try out this particular tag here. And we've got just, right, so there's this Mad Libs version, and then we've, right, okay, I was gonna actually still use the Kurzweil thing, and just in terms of the prompts that I have set up. So I'm gonna go back to Kurzweil. All right, so children, literacy. So I was just looking online of like, oh yeah, what are common questions grant funders would ask? Okay, and then let's just set this up. So there's not necessarily a lot of limitations on what you can do. So often, like what we have to say at Storytell is like the main limitation in using AI is our own imagination of what's possible. So we've got these questions here of like, okay, common questions grant funders ask. Why do they ask? And then here's how to answer this question. And here's a template. So coming up with a template and putting it in the prompt, that's what's known as few shot learning. So you might have heard like, oh, I want to, train a model on this set of data. Well, guess what? You don't need to do that. And not in this case, this isn't a medical application, for instance. Um, but all you have to do is upload the data you want to work with and then write prompts that are like how you would work with an intern on their first day. Hey, here's what I want you to do. Here's what great looks like. Here's a template of the outcome. Now go ahead and use these materials to come up with something new. So here we go. So we're getting all the information about Kurzweil, right? And what is the Read to Succeed program about? Because often we have the information somewhere, maybe in a different format, and we need to get it into the format for the latest application. Okay, and how do they align? This is how they align, etc. So I was just, getting all like there's tons of different questions that you can ask, right? And just start to almost make it's like having this dynamic relationship with the data itself. Something that was static becomes dynamic, becomes malleable. And so here we go again with the Kurzweil example of just like how deep can you go? So Charlie, I'd be really curious to hear like how much does this map to your use case or how it is that you want to use Storytell?
I think it's a good start. We I was working with someone introduced me to build out a request for a proposal response, and what we would need is to be able to upload a lot of example previously completed proposals, and then ask Storytell to synthesize and pull from those for kind of the standard questions, and then in the future be able to share ideally an output in a tabular form with the questions answered. But if not, we can definitely go one by one, where you can take each question and facilitate the answer to that, leveraging AI. And I still think that you're never going to get the final answer out of the model. You'll still have
Mhm.
you'll start with it. You'll be able to ask it, okay, what's the go a bit deeper, do the so what, and it
Mhm.
come up with some really good answers. But then ultimately, you're the one who's going to need to define the hook. Like, what's going to be that hook that I need to put in this answer to make my proposal stand out? That's not going to come
Mhm.
from your engine. Only you are going to be able to have that, but it can definitely do the heavy lifting and the brute force of data kind of synthesis is my opinion. So I'm just looking for, how can my AI model, how can Storytell be able to ingest the data that I tell it to, and then be able to call from that with custom prompts that I write,
Mhm.
and then be able to take that information and organize it in a tabular output that I can then put into into a spreadsheet and
Mhm.
the source of truth.
Right.
That's
Okay.
and I'm doing the same thing on for account planning. Is that it's the same similar exercise for account planning. You're taking data, you're asking it to ingest, you're asking it to synthesize and even compare against let's compare strategic objectives against pain points, and tell me which and here are the solutions that can absolve those pain points. Which one of these are most applicable? It
Mhm.
an okay job of identifying, okay, here are the top three that are most applicable to solve those pain points. And you just need to be able to rinse and repeat that once you've kind of have the process down and the prompts that you need to be able to drive that. So
Mhm.
it's really kind of finding a partner to synthesize data and house data and be able to continue to ask, build on that data set and then ask questions of it.
Yeah, that's such a good description of the, prowess of AI. And the way I'm hearing what you're saying, like both with more structured data and also with, grant applications, is this coming together of two things. So you maybe have past responses, and then you've got the new application, and it's like take these two things and put them together to create a new thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And just so yes to tables. So
Oh,
all you
nice.
have to
Yeah.
do is just this is Markdown is a formatting language. So if you just toggle and select Markdown, or you can also even do it here. So this is we can go back to plain text or use the pound or number sign to go to Markdown. Does mean the footnotes go away, but then you get it in a cleaner to read format. And you can also download this as a PDF or copy it from here. It might make it easier when you're bringing things over to a spreadsheet.
Now, one
Um,
of the differentiators of Storytell is the fact that you do have this formatting, and it's nice and it's easier to read, and the fact that you're able to download it is, I think, also a differentiator.
so happy to hear that. I mean, we're building for you, we're building for, our users like with business use cases. And what we've seen again and again is exactly what you're speaking to of like, we all have deliverables as knowledge workers, and there are repeatable steps to get there. And AI can absolutely help automate that and be that kind of brute force worker. But also something that might be new for you is it really can be a support with ingenuity as well. For instance, we were helping a patent attorney, and he was trying to make his patent application as broad as possible. And so we just asked for wild associations and things he hadn't thought of that still exist in the real world. He got to add to his patent application. So I do wonder, something we could try here is, what would make the Kurzweil grant application stand out to um, Nora Roberts Foundation. And I think for that, I would have to like go back and see what information can share about Nora Roberts. So I would maybe even just share like what do we know about the Nora Roberts Foundation? Therefore, what would stand out? So that's one avenue that, okay, so, obviously this is an older website, but we're just playing around here. Um, and here we go. Theodore Roberts. Uh, whoops, didn't copy. Go back. Okay. And here we go. Uh, Here's some information from the Nora Roberts Foundation. Okay. And then we'll start with that. Okay. Let's see. We've got okay, social justice. So maybe it's like, okay, how could you make a bent in your application? Um, and then, okay, learning disabilities, language-based difficulties, could focus on that. Um, I could ask this again. So like do this, you can always say there is a chat history here where it's, remembering like the last 50 interactions or so. Just gonna move this so I can type in here. And you could say just do it again. So answer again.
Could you say, please expand on the social justice component of the,
Yes, yes, yes. This is great. On the social justice component. I could see adding to that was like, how would Kurzweil go about implementing that in Read to Succeed? And what's the best language to include in their grant application. How's that? Is that good?
I don't know. I think that if you ask it too
Well,
many questions at once, it gets confused.
okay, let's see. We can do just yours again.
Let's see how it responded though.
Yeah. Okay. Ensuring program reaches and benefits students from diverse backgrounds, access to quality education, not equitable. Okay, it's addressing that disparity. Social justice, prioritize outreach to schools and communities with higher rates of poverty, limited resources, and marginalized populations. So include partnering with schools in low-income neighborhoods, collaborating with community orgs, targeting schools with higher percentage of students from underrepresented backgrounds. Okay. Highlight their intention to reach students who may face additional barriers to literacy, low income, minority communities, students with learning disabilities. Okay, that shows alignment. Oh, and then here's the language. Okay. So this could go directly into the grant application. So yeah, what do you think
Thanks.
of this response, Charlie?
I think I'm glad it was able to answer the second question and give you the language that's impressive.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's solid.
Awesome. Happy to hear it. What else? Is there any other like lingering questions or a way that you'd want to interact with this?
Well, so I guess one of the questions I had is like when it doesn't, when you kind of ask what would you like to know, and it doesn't give you a response, or
Mhm.
it sounds like you have to select in the smart chat window the documents of the files, or select all my knowledge, and then go ask what would you like to know, and I think that's where I went wrong. So I'll be excited to try this again.
Tell me, so I want to make sure that I'm following 100%. So it sounds like you asked a prompt that you did not get the response that you wanted.
It's
Um, and was based on what like tag or data was selected? Is that
It
right?
was, well, I don't know if it was selected. I uploaded a number of proposals, and I said I would ask questions of that. And it would say, I'm sorry, I'm a large language model. I don't, I can't answer that question. So
Right. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Kind of like what happened for me when we were on just the grant applications. Sometimes there's just an error and you have to ask like a two, three times, but it's really kind of like when you're navigating technology, like where orienting yourself. And we realize that, current iteration of our product a little bit disorienting. So we're always, iterating and working on it behind the scenes. But so it's like, what am I actually chatting with? So you could for sure chat with all my knowledge. So if you're here, we could just have like, okay, what are the themes that you see across or what are themes you see in this content? Like that's something we could ask. Or if there's something more specific, then that's the whole dynamically sizing the data set.
I mean, in this question right here, let's ask again, what are the top 5 questions for across the different grants that you have reviewed?
Hmm.
And so let's see how it changes the answer with all of its
Great.
knowledge.
Yeah, great idea. Hmm. Okay. So that looks similar.
They,
It was just purpose before. This feels
is
a little
this
bit more
using
general. Yeah, I would like to hear your reaction. That's actually way more interesting than
with,
mine.
with all my knowledge, is it also using the web as well, or some version of
Mm.
web as of 2022, or is that just everything you've uploaded personally?
It's everything you've uploaded. So how, that's a great question. So if you are selecting world's knowledge, for
Oh, world's
instance,
knowledge. Okay, got it.
then that is basically like a chat GPT experience. The way we use the models for when you're actually interacting with your own data is to structure the sentences. And so it's like for writing the responses. It is, I mean, I I think we've had to, there's a whole thing around like how tightly do you constrain things because of how it works in the background with a vector database of, oh, if you don't say the exact words in your prompt, then the vector database is going to say, no, it isn't there, even if it is there. It's just with synonyms or something. And so we've opened it up a little bit so that you can for sure get answers from your content, even if, you're talking about recruiting and the content says candidates. Um, but so again, that's why we have Storytell, so you can check, wait, where did this come from? Just because of like loosening it a little bit. But largely it's used to just structure the responses. But I'm curious, maybe the better thing to say on my end is what inspired that question? Like when you look at this, does it look like, oh, is that just what you would get from ChatGPT?
Well, I mean, I asked the question because I didn't see the world's knowledge button, so
Mm,
you can distinguish between the huge global large language model or what you have uploaded, and so I
mhm.
think it's a nice distinction to be able to leverage both and see how the responses differ.
Mm. Mm.
Um,
Right. Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is it'd be great to be able to ask both of these at the same time and to see almost a side-by-side comparison of the responses. Is that accurate?
I mean, yeah, if you take that last question, what are the top 5 questions across the grants you've reviewed and ask it of the world's knowledge? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm assuming it might still make the same answer.
Right. Oh. Huh. Look at that.
So that's what
Uh,
I received. So
oh, yeah. That's maybe I could just try a different response here across like what are the top 5 questions grant applications ask? Okay, so that's really interesting, Charlie, because we used the same question and we got the apology.
yeah.
Right? Like the whole it seems like this tripped it up. Like, no, I
Well,
haven't.
yeah, I mean, to me, that says that if you're using world's knowledge, you can't ask it about such specific document you've already uploaded. If you want to ask it something about your data set, then you need to use all my knowledge and not
Yes,
use world knowledge.
right.
Unless you want to go, yeah. And if you are using world's knowledge, it has to be kind of generic and not referencing anything you've already uploaded.
Yep, completely. That's like couldn't say better myself. For instance, um, I mean, we could even just go to like specific data if you're saying, what's banana? Um, ideally, we'll see how it responds. If it's not in the content, we're not going to, oh, we still got it. So interesting. We're just kind of navigating these boundaries here.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's exactly what you have to do is navigate and see, you know, iterate and experiment and see how it responds, and then
Mhm.
you'll know better next time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, it's so exciting that you joined us today at short notice. And it sounds like we have unlocked some things about how to use the platform.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And so, thank you very much for your time. I look forward to continuing to work with Storytell and yeah, and experimenting and understanding it better.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Okay, and look forward to speaking to you later today.
All right, thanks, Erica.
Okay, thanks, Charlie. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye, y'all.